Looks like a lot of people are logging on right now. Hi, Wendy. How's that Colorado weather? Hi, Barbara. Oh, I'm jealous. 70 and beautiful in Colorado. Love all your pictures. Makes me jealous every time I see. Oh, sorry, that was my vacuum. Does anybody else have a Roomba type vacuum? If you don't, best thing in the world. So, I do have my glasses on today because we are editing and I don't want to be doing this the whole time because I will without my glasses on. So. Can y'all hear me okay? Hi, Jan. Perfect, thank you. I have a favor while there's just a few of y'all on right now. If we have an issue like yesterday where the sound goes out, I don't really see everything because I'm usually on the full screen looking at what I'm working on. So if somebody could write this down and text me my phone number, or you can Facebook message me where I get a little pop-up notification on my phone, but my phone number is 940-367-4269. That's 940-367-4269. I mean, like minutes before I started this, yesterday's video got done rendering. I kind of had to clip it together instead of just being able to go directly from this to the actual making of the video. I hope today that everything goes right and I can just upload it immediately, but it just got finished rendering from Photoshop, and I don't know if anybody's ever rendered a video from Photoshop. It took all night long, and like I said, and then a few minutes ago it finished, which I'm glad because I wanted to shut my computer down and restart it, and so it's nice and fresh for everybody. I'm just double checking the Facebook page. Make sure I'm not missing any questions or anything that somebody might have put on there that can't come. Did everybody see that I put the resource page up there? There's still a few things I need to put up there. I hope to have the video up later on today. I'm not going to try, I'm just going to load it to YouTube. I think that's going to be the easiest way, and just provide the link rather than letting Zoom do it for me, because Zoom is, they only allow me a certain amount of cloud space, and I went over the limit yesterday. So I'm just going to upload it to YouTube, and I'm not going to do it, I'll start it up right after this class. I'm not going to do it during this class because it will use up all my bandwidth, and I don't want any interruptions. I don't have the best internet as it is, so we're going to do that. So, yeah. And I'll repeat that again in a little bit when we get closer to starting time. Who's in here today that wasn't in here yesterday? I recognize a lot of the names, and I know a few people just signed up to a little late. All right. Okay. So the main thing today, what we're going to go over is I remember talking with you, Becky. So yeah, I knew you didn't see it yesterday. So, Jan, I'm so glad you're here. Jan is a fun person. She's gone. If y'all haven't ever gone to Powderhorn, which that's a picture behind me, is Powderhorn. I highly recommend it, not just for the scenery, but for the people, the attendees, the host, the cowgirls, the cowboys. Just it's a very relaxing. Oh, no worries. Oh, okay. I'll go ahead and answer that. For the Christmas wreaths, I actually start promoting in August. I start shooting at the end of September. I want to be done by December 1st. I know a lot of people start December 1st, but no, I do mine way early. Even sessions that I go to that we're not planning on doing a wreath session, I ask them and they usually say, yeah, we'll throw the wreath on the horse. So it's just a little extra sale for me and everything. But yeah, I promote in August and I start shooting end of September. I usually send out a newsletter, and then I also start a Facebook event page. Event pages can only be 2 weeks, so I have to kind of keep up with that quite a bit. And then I just promote it quite a bit on my page. I really don't post any pictures till December. But yeah, I use previous years to promote because I know a lot of these are gifts for people. Oh, good, Jan. I'm glad you're going. So, all right. Well, one more minute. Hold on. I'll wait a few. I'm impatient. So on the Lightroom thing, I have already preloaded a lot of the sessions from that you've seen on the videos, on the YouTube videos. And we're actually gonna, some of them I haven't even looked at, I've only loaded. There's a couple that I went through just because I want to speed up the culling process and kind of go through a few of my methods that I use to go through there. So yeah, okay. I have a request, and I'm going to repeat this again too. When y'all ask questions today, you can chat all you want, personal chats, all that type of stuff on the chat. But I'm going to ask you if you have any questions to ask it in the Q&A section, because I can get a little pop-up from that. The chat, I actually have to close the window and go look at it when I have my Lightroom open. So if you could do that. And I'm not going to really answer questions as much as I did last week. God, it feels like forever ago, and it was just yesterday. I'm not going to answer as many of the questions until maybe near the end, just because I get in a flow and everything. If I do get a little too fast, raise your hand, give me a nudge, send me a message on the phone, because I'll see that. But do ask your questions and everything on the Q&A. So, all right. So what I want to accomplish today is more of my workflow. Here's getting in my way. Is my workflow. And this is how I do things. There's 1,000 other ways to do things on Lightroom. This is just how I do it. If you already have a good workflow, I highly recommend just stay with that workflow and do it, unless you like what you see with what I'm doing. And then we're going to go over some culling of the images, and I kind of have a 3-step process. As I go through them, I kind of get rid of, and sometimes I make it a 2-step process. I look at them, I want to check for sharpness, and I also want to check for overall, like, I don't want to use that one, a definite no. I'm going to cull those out. And then I go through them again, and you know, do some comparisons of some very like images, and I try to narrow them down quite a bit. You know, we don't want to overwhelm the client with too many images, and I do show my clients the image as is. I let them pick it, and then I blacken it out. I have not had any issues with any of the clients going, they just can't envision it. Because a lot of it is, I do have a before and after sample that I will show them, and I might do a quick edit on one of their images. So they do kind of see the final product, plus they've seen it. They've seen the final product and everything. And I just don't have any problem with showing the images and letting them select it. And a lot of, not so much the quick little sessions, a lot of those I'm just going to put online, but a lot of my black backgrounds are included in a regular session, and I am doing IPS with them. So, you know, they kind of know if I can tell them how we need to replace a leg, we can. I try to get it as right as possible in camera because I don't like to have to Photoshop, you know, things. Probably the most easiest thing I find to Photoshop is opening an eye, because I just find an eye similar to it. And some ear replacements are easy, but leg replacements, I don't really care if I don't want to have to do it if I don't have to. I just know some horses just won't stand, and I will do that. You know, or I just talk the client into doing a headshot too. And so that's, you know, just kind of leading your client in the direction that I want them to go. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I think there's quite a few of y'all here now, so I'm going to share my Lightroom with y'all. Okay, all right, why that landed on there, but this is the very first one. Okay, so I'm going to kind of walk you through a little bit of, hold on, my chat was getting a little bit too big. I'm going to kind of show you a little bit. We're in the library right now, so you know, I kind of have all my sessions in here that are current. Well, once they're in Lightroom, I'm done with them. Everything else after that is Photoshop. I don't come back. I am also, I do shoot in RAW, but once I'm done in Lightroom, I export to JPEGs and I get rid of my RAWs. The RAWs are off my computer, I should say. The RAWs are still backed up on a hard drive. Once the client's images are delivered and I know they're satisfied, I actually delete my RAWs off of my hard drive as well. In 10 years, I have not had to go back and get any of those RAWs yet. So I do wait, you know, several months, and I kind of have a time period, you know, once a month I go and clean up things and everything. When I import, all right, so I'm assuming everybody is pretty familiar with Lightroom. So if you're not, I apologize, this might be a little bit over what you're ready for. I don't have an online Lightroom class ready, so or else I refer you to that, but there is some on there, out there. So who is not familiar with Lightroom? Looks like everybody is, so good. All right. Okay, so which when I asked that question, there's a little hand raise thing on the chat. If y'all raise your hand, then I will know. So so maybe there is a few people not familiar. Okay. All right. So so this is the library mode, and when I import things, there's the little import button here. I import And I usually have a preset. Light and airy is not the one I want to use for black backgrounds. I usually push none for black backgrounds. But that's just, you know, have a few presets there and there. I probably ought to develop one for black backgrounds, but I just haven't because I think every picture is a little bit different. Let me move my face here. You know, then I upload it to, I make a folder, and I upload it to that folder. And this is directly from the memory card. I don't know why. I usually have a minimum, yeah, embed, the standard is usually what I use. I don't know why that's preset to that. I also check that because sometimes memory cards have more than one session on there, which is don't import suspected duplicates. I make a second copy to my external hard drive of the raw files, and I do back it up at the same time. So that saves me a step later on. I don't have to go back it up later on. I'm backing it up to the hard drive the same time I'm putting it on my computer to use. I'm really big on, you know, backing up my files. Okay. Custom name, I usually give it like the name of the person, the name of the location, if it's a big, you know, if I'm going and it's a big barn session. And then I still leave the 4-digit numbers the same. I don't know if you know, you can set up your metadata in there and a couple, which, you know, embed your copyright and, you know, a few other things in there. If you haven't done that, do that. Be sure to do that. All right, so once I've imported, I go through the images and I kind of look at them. I use the PNU method. I don't know if anybody is familiar with the PNU method. So it's pick and unpick. So if I hit P, it's going to pick it. We obviously don't want this, but if you look in the lower left-hand corner, the #1 image has this little white flag by it. And I have my caps lock on, and it automatically went to the next picture when the caps lock is on. You can set it up here somewhere. I can't remember where, but I just find it, you know, easier just to put my caps lock on. And then if I unpick with the U, it goes to the next one, and I can pick it, which one I want. This is with a background, a backdrop, as you can see. And remember how I told y'all I do the 6 inches off the ground, and see how it makes this natural gradient? Instead of me having to go in and blend that in. It still needs to be blended in, maybe a little bit, but not a whole lot. Once I bump up the contrast and everything, it probably would be okay. But that's the P and the U, and it automatically goes. Tip 2, if you go to a brush, like if you're in Photoshop or in here and you go to a brush, and you can't remember where your circle went to, that means you have your caps lock on. So don't panic, nothing happened. I'm sure a lot of y'all already know this, but I always get a question, and I know I was one of them that asked the question many years ago on some Facebook forum. Where'd my brush go? Where'd my brush go? You know, I only see the plus mark. So that somebody says, oh, your caps lock is on. I was like, oh, okay. I feel stupid. All right, I'm going to go back and unpick this first one because we don't want it. All right, we don't want that one. Okay. With this, I know you kind of watched the video. He is a big horse, and I have a narrow alleyway. So I can't do quite, you know, the angle that I really want with him. This one's fine with him. He does have big ears, and I always take that into consideration when I always study a horse too. Before I take their photo, I study a horse. You know, especially I know he has a paint face, but he's actually an Appaloosa. You know, a lot of them have these weird paints, have this weird marking. You know, and I always ask the person, do they have a preference on the side of their face when they have a very different face? Plus, you know, the mane makes a difference too. And a lot of times the owner says, oh, this side is better. And sometimes I go, oh, they may not know. And I kind of look at it and see which one is going to be the best angle and everything. We did take some pictures of this guy straight on. They're not flattering. I'm going to tell you that now, just because of his ears and his face. It just doesn't work for him. All right. So once I have the P and the U going, I kind of go through them pretty fast. I will look at them. I'm going to see if I can't make this a little bit bigger so y'all can see the preview. All right. So I like to go 1-to-1, okay? And I go on the eye. And I want to check for sharpness. All right. All right. So I'm checking for, and I also like to do this in develop mode too, by the way. I'm in library. It seems to be a little bit faster. To make it a little bit bigger, I get rid of those arrows. I don't need those now because I'm not doing any editing. This is personal preference. Some people like the library mode. All right. I'm not going to keep this one because the ear, and I know I have fine ones that have the ear. I may come back to it later on. When I realize I don't, if I realize I don't have any ears, but I'm not going to keep it. All right. I do have a touch screen, so I'm pretty quick about it. I'm not going to keep it. Hate his eyes, hate his look. And what I don't like about his eyes is they're kind of giving the side eye. I know Appaloosa's, I'm a little bit more forgiving because they have that white sclera, and some app people want that to be shown. I know he's kind of looking at the side. Okay, this is my mistake. It's still, I don't like his ears aren't up enough. I cut his feet off. I do that all the time. So, all right. He's just a little droopy-ish to me. His ears aren't as forward. His legs are okay. Don't look at his feet. He got shot just the very next day. So, but I would have, liked these legs to be a little bit further apart in the hind. So I'm not going to keep that one. All right. Definitely not going to keep that one. We might consider this one. This is the best one yet. The legs look okay and everything. I do go through this a lot faster, but I am explaining things as I'm going. We did, he's almost off to the edge. Oh, these are the leads that I have on here is, I talked about those rope halters that we can remove easily. They also come with a lead, a matching lead, and we probably should have used the black lead, but we had the brown one out. So I actually use that too now for the lead rope, because a lot of people bring these big bulky lead ropes. Some horses, if the owner thinks the horse will stand there, we just take the lead off. So I'm going to keep that one. So now it has a flag. All right. I'm not going to keep that one just because the ear's not as much up. And I know I already have a good one at this. So now that I know I have a good one that's going to work really well at this position, I go through these pretty fast. And unless it just really wows me, I'm just going to go through them like that. I like that one, so I might keep it and compare it to the other one later on. Nope, his ears dip back. Still back, very much back. And I hope there's not too much of a delay. I know sometimes Zoom delays what I'm talking and showing pictures. Okay, I'm going to keep that one. And that one's exactly like the other one, so I'm not going to use it. Same with that one. We won't want that one because he's a little droopy-eyed and his ear's not there. And I have my dog on my lap again, so if you hear some snoring and grunting, that's actually kind of cute. And I have to think of the owner too. Yes, this is our horse in our barn, and I know what I like and I know what I don't like, but I'm going to have to think, okay, maybe the owner might like this is somebody else's horse. All right, but I look down, okay, I have enough feet down there that I can do something, and I can add some more floor if I need to make a canvas or something. So I'm going to go ahead and keep that. In some instances, them stepping forward is kind of cute. this is not one of them. When they have like a cute higher step or something, he's obviously just moving his foot. All right. He's a little droopy eyed. I know I have plenty, so I'm not gonna keep it. Looks the same as the last one, not gonna keep it. His feet are starting to get even closer together, so I'm not gonna keep these because I know I have one that I like. But I get them down pretty quickly. All right, so we got enough of this pose, all right? So instead of making y'all look at every single one of these, we're gonna move on because they're all pretty much the same. All right, so we're gonna look at the headshot. Oops, skip one. Okay, so no, not at all. Several reasons. I didn't get the tip of his ears. Okay, now if it's a super great image and I didn't get the tip of the ears, and like somebody asked yesterday, I zoom in way too close, and this is a problem with me, I can add tips of the ears if I can find ears that are at the same angle. You know, don't judge the whiskers and everything. We did not clip these horses or anything. You know, he's just no. I don't think with anybody's horse I would pick this one because I don't like the angle. Oh, and I apologize. I was supposed to be putting on, there's my settings, you guys. So, so you can see my settings. I forgot about that. I apologize. Somebody should have, you probably did, and I just didn't see it. Okay. And pretty much I didn't probably change. This is probably most of my settings the whole time. I'll go back to these right here. Yeah, I know I nag at shooting at 180 and I didn't on these. Might have been because of where the camera was for the video. All right, not going to keep that one. I like this one. I don't like it 100%, and let me bring it back out and why I don't like it. His neck to me looks a little wonky. And what I mean by that is when I do a straight out shot like this, I want their spine and their neck to their pole to be straight. To here, it looks like he's kind of leaning in a little bit with his head. So it's not showing off the length of his neck. No, he doesn't have the best neck, but I want to show it. And it also, his pole looks thick in this one too. So I'm not going to keep this one, and I wouldn't show a client this one either. Okay. All right. His neck looks better, but I don't like his ears or his expression. Okay. This one's a little bit better. I'm going to check make sure it's in focus. Yeah, I kind of like that one. I don't mind the head tilted a little bit. It's the neck that I want straight. Once it's to the pole, they can tilt their head. In fact, I do like to see this part of the eye when they're at, for profiles in 3/4 and all that. I already got one like it. See what I did? Cut those ears off again. Barely, but I did. All right, so we're not going to keep that one. You know, I already know I have one I like, so his ears just aren't there. Same, and his neck just, he's just giving that side eye. And that's a lot of the issue sometimes when we're, you know, shooting horses and we're having them, you know, looking straight out, is not getting, you know, getting a good expression from them, and they are giving the side eye. He gets used so much for photos because I do some live classes at home, at my house, for people local and everything. And then when I do mentor sessions, he gets used. He's so over it. He's just like, are we really doing this again? And he's used to all the props. And all right. So I got one that I liked out of there. I'm happy with just one, and I'm fine with just showing the client just one. The head turned. I like to see a little bit more. I'm going to pull it back out. I like to see more of the head turned, and I also like a little bit more angle to the horse when when the head is turned like that, yes, I could have moved a little bit over and probably could have got the right angle. Sorry. When I do a 3/4 angle type picture, I usually stand in front of the horse. I'm gonna have to get a drink of water in a second. And I take 2 to 3 giant steps sideways. And that usually puts me in the area where I want to be. I was probably about 4 steps sideways here, and I probably should have moved over to get that. But, you know, he's a big-bodied horse, and sometimes I don't mind seeing the whole body of him. You know, this one I might like if I cropped it in, so I'm going to go ahead and keep it. Oh, I love the way his head's turned, but his eyes are closed. Yeah, if I want to go, you know, if I really, really like it, I might go back and get another, you know, I'm going to keep it for now because if I really, really, it's the only one I really like, I might want to go back and find an eye to replace it with. No, he just has a grumpy look on his face. And we'll go ahead and keep that one. When I take 3 or 4 steps from the center, which way? It really depends on the light and what side of the body I'm going to shoot on. So, like, I'm standing in front of the horse's chest, and I want to shoot like this angle that we're doing. I would take to my right. I would step to my right on that. If I wanted to, you know, if the horse was turned the other way, angled the other way, I should say, but going the other way, I would step to the left. All right. You know, I don't mind this one, and that's a good angle on his face. He kind of, you know, it kind of tapers that head in a little bit with his marking. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and keep that one. There will be some cropping involved. I'm not going to keep that one. Okay. And we're back to that angle again. He probably just turned his head straight when I was doing that one, and I kind of like it. So I'll go ahead and keep it. His neck looks a little bit thick. All right, we're using the mirror here. And if you see the little loading thing going, that if you look at a picture and it doesn't look sharp to you yet when you're in Photoshop, wait till that thing finishes loading, and then it might, you know, you might go, oh my gosh, all these are blurry, but you're not waiting long enough for it to load. Mine's taken a little bit longer because I have been very busy the last few weeks and my computer is very full, so it's a little bit slow. All right, we're going to keep that one. I like his expression. I didn't get the mirror, or the handler didn't get the mirror over him, so I don't have to Photoshop his body parts, you know, or use that to Photoshop anything. He looks a little cute, and that looks a little bit gentle. Oh, and this kind of, I had somebody ask a question. They messaged me a question, and I'm going to go over it now because it kind of, let me pull up the question real quick. Okay. They said that they noticed I do a lot of stock horse pictures, and I do, but I do a lot of other breeds. And they were wondering about, do I still use the same pose flow? And yes, I do. You know, I might get a little bit more creative with certain ones, and it's all about the headset with different breeds and different disciplines. You know, if this was a standard bred or a walker, yeah, we want the head up higher. I'm still doing the same poses. You know, and if there's some traditional poses, you know, that are more a little bit to the ideal of that breed or that discipline, I will do those too, but I still kind of do the same pose flow. What helps with the pose flow is I have several different assistants. and they know my pose flow, and it flows much easier. They know, okay, I'm done, let's move the horse. They know which position I'm going to move the horse into next. And I do tell the handlers too, I'm going to do that. All right, so we're going to keep this one. And no, I don't like this one. Well, it's not too bad when I pull it back out. At first I thought he was kind of caving in at the pole. And what I mean by that is right here, I like to see a nice arch right here on, I don't know why it's giving me that, not this. But right here, I like to see a nice arch. You can see on this one, we have a little bit more of an arch. And here it kind of disappears a little bit. It's not bad. And then sometimes because it just sinks in a little bit right here. So I'm real picky about my head turn shots, but I'm going to keep it. No, if that was Arabian or something, I would probably keep it. And you can see his nostrils are flaring a little bit too. There, he's a little bit more relaxed. I'm going to keep that one in there now because I'm kind of like, maybe. Even though I'm not keeping that one at all. All right, so I'm going to fill these up a little bit because these are, now I did overexpose these. And I do shoot crooked so bad, especially near the end. And, I don't know if y'all know, really can't use it too much. Well, I guess I can use the top of the barn. Lightroom does have a level tool. I do get in closer to it. But this one, obviously, I think I'm just testing the light and everything. So we're not going to keep that one. All right. Now, you can see these are already all marked because I don't want to go and spend yes or no, yes or no. I kind of got rid of the really, really obvious ones that we're not going to keep. All right. So I kind of went ahead and did pretty much this whole session already. I did want to get y'all started just to kind of see my thing, but I could spend too much time on doing that. So once I flag the ones that I have, I go in, and if you look at this little thing on the bottom right, it has filters off right now. A lot of people do the stars, and rate it 1 through 5. I either like it or I don't like it. So, I don't do the rating thing. It's either I like it or I don't. So I'm going to go up here and I hit flagged. And some people do the color coding too. So now it got rid of all the ones that we did not keep. So I had 253 photos. I'm down to 145. So, we want to get down quite a bit. I usually give the client each pose several different options. Sometimes just one. If that's all I got, that's all I got. So my next step to do is I look at them all big. And this has to be done in the library mode, and it will automatically do it for me. By hitting Control or Command, if you have a Mac, I select several images. And then I hit N, and that will pull those 3 up that I selected. You can see how it switched to library. So I'm going to look at these and go, which one do I like the best? All right, I'm eliminating this one right here right away because his legs are a little bit stretched out to me. They might be the same in every single one, but to me, that's how it's looking. All right, so I'm eliminating that. Now, there's only 2 of these, and they are a little bit different, mainly with the way the head is. So I would leave these for the client to decide on, just mainly just because I want to give them a couple choices. If there's only one, there's only one, and that's what we're going to do. And I don't know why this one got left in here. So there that one is. We obviously don't want this one, and I don't even know if I want the other one either, but I'm going to leave it in for the client to look at. I usually only like to look 3 at a time. These are kind of similar, so we're just going to look at these 2. And some reason, I guess I was hitting pick on all these. I don't like either of these. Not going to keep them. I've already seen the other ones that I like. All right, so here we have the head here, and we have the head here. that I got later on. He looks much bigger bodied in the right one, but his neck looks a lot better in the other one. I'm going to keep both of these just to give them two different choices. All right. These two are very similar. I actually like the eyes closed one better. So I'm going to go ahead and keep both because I might have to use the eye from the other one, even though it's not quite the right angle. If I can't find it, I'll use it. This next one might be a little bit better, closer to the angle. Even if I find one that's in the other eye, I might use the other, the other side, because he doesn't have white going over his eyes. His eyes are kind of the same. Okay. So I'm going to put these three up. I'd probably leave all three of these for the client. I will go in and crop that one to the chest before I show the client. I might just leave it too, because a lot of times these are going to be canvases and we need to leave room for the canvases. I do like to crop at the chest floor on a lot of images. So, I may just leave it just for that and just let them know, the client, that we're going to do that. All right, we already looked at this one right here. So I have these three. I really narrowed these down quite a bit. I'm going to keep all three of these for right now and give the client their choice. We have quite a few more here because I did not narrow these down near as much. So we're going to look at three at a time. Actually, I'm not going to use those two. Not going to use this first one. I'm not going to use the second one because it looks like he is relaxed on that back hip. Do you see how this hip looks a little low? I can't, because he's relaxed a little bit. It just doesn't look right to me. Okay. All right, everybody, am I going too fast? If I'm going too fast, raise your hand. Or am I boring y'all to death? Okay. Okay, so these two, pretty much the same. I am going to crop these in quite a bit, so I'm not too worried about anything below here. So as long as their hip doesn't look like it's tilting to the side, which these are crooked, I am going to have to fix this. I can't tell right now. So I will maybe later on when I go, I'm going to crop it and tilt it. Sometimes I don't crop in Lightroom because I can't, when you crop in Photoshop, you can do the, what are they, content aware, where it kind of fills in the space. Do that. So hold on, I am getting a message. I'm going to make sure I'm not losing my sound. But my daughter did text me, so I may not crop in, or may not fix the tilt it in Lightroom. I am going to keep one of these, and I think I'm going to keep the right one. The only reason I'm keeping it is because I already have this one selected, so why waste time moving over to the other one when they're so identical? All right, he just didn't want to look straight on very much. I'm going to pull up 3 more of these. I could probably do more because they're very similar. Okay, I'm not going to look at this. I'm not going to use this end one yet because there is someone that does that. All right, so I'm going to, even though I want the straight on pose, sometimes this is a cute look if they turn and look. I'm not going to use the first one. I don't like it. His head just doesn't look good to it. I will get rid of 2 of these because they're very, very similar. So I'm going to use that same method. Whatever it's already selected is why I'm selecting it. I'm not going to waste a little bit. Actually, I am going to move over to the next one because this one has a little bit extra space on this side. So I'm always, you know, thinking ahead of time, and Photoshop work, you know, work ahead of time too. So that's part of my way of making selections. So you're going to see it really a whole lot in these next few images, where, and you also could probably see too, on the first one, I was standing up. I don't know if you can tell that. On the next ones, I squatted down, or I may not have squatted down. I may have, you know, A-framed my body by, you know, I'll spread my legs out a little bit. One in front of me, one behind me. It kind of looks like, you know, the warrior pose, you know, a really bad warrior pose in yoga. So, you know, I'm going to get rid of this first one because I don't like the angle as much. And I do also don't have very much space on that one side. So this, I am trying to go for the one that's most straightforward. So I am going to go for the one on the left. Oh, you should see me in when I do IPS sessions, and we do we compare images up next to each other, and they're saying left or right, and I'm thinking to myself, I usually ask them to say, hey, can you say 1, 2, or 3 for me? I am going to use the one on the right just because there's more body to it. And it's a little bit more straight on what I was going for too. Okay, and I probably end up not using it at all. So we're going to compare these three. Can you tell where my focal point must have been? It wasn't dead center. So that's why I'm losing some of it. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this one again. All right. Let's see. I'm going to eliminate, oops, didn't mean to do that. I'm going to keep a couple of these because he does have a little bit of different expression. So I'm going to get rid of the middle one. I like his soft expression. I like that he's being, especially these, I like where they're straight out. If he had braids or bands in, I would want the head lower so we can actually see those bands. But if I put him lower too, I got to think of his face is going to widen through the nose because of the shape of the white on his face, and his ears are going to look bigger. So that kind of makes a big difference here. I'm not going to use this one just because I cut too much of it off. Same with this one. Same with this one. Same with that one. Okay, we'll keep that one because I actually got it there. It's not directly straight on, but it's kind of cute with him. Okay, so see what I say as I go further on, I get a little bit more crooked. I think he looked a little bit better going this direction. His legs, his hind legs are a little close together. And I am going to have to Photoshop a little bit of the black to the back. You really can see the gradient here with the black background being raised up. I did have like some light coming through the other doorway on the bottom, and we put, you know, I can't remember what we put over there because I do have something that the little border is missing. We put blankets or something just to keep the light from coming under. I don't like this bright one. I'm really not a fan of any of these, but that's just because I'm not a fan of him at this angle. So we're just going to keep one of those because I do want to, you know, they're very similar. All right. I like him better with his head that way. So I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to keep the first one. If it was because for my client, I would keep it. And then I'm going to get rid of one of these. They're very, very similar. So I think one ear on this one right here is back. So we're going to get rid of that one. All right. Okay. Let me get rid of this, not get rid of it, but not keep it in there. Keep it in the mix. It's really hard to tell if his ear is there, but see how much better his neck looks. He actually looks better conformationally with his head just a little bit higher. And, you know, but a lot of, you know, what he does, what he shows, that's where we want their head. So that's where it's really important when you go, you know, with your client to know what do they do. You know, a lot of people are very, you know, they shoot a lot, like in the hunter jumper world, they shoot a lot in the stock breed world, they shoot a lot in the Tennessee Walker or the gated community. So they kind of know. I shoot tons of different disciplines and tons of different breeds, so I need to know ahead of time. So if there's a breed that I've never shot before, I do research it ahead of time, just to know what it is. I actually like both of these. His eye's a little bit different, so I probably would let the owner see both of these. All right, we're gonna look at all three of these together because I bet you there's some that's super similar. All right. Okay, I'm going to get rid of the middle one because that one just is pretty close to it, and his eye is a little bit, it's a lot about the eye. His eye was just a little bit off on me for that one. Okay. I'm going to check for questions real quick, y'all. Oh, we have some. All right. How many photos do I generally present to a customer in total? It really depends on the session. For a black background session, I may take about 100 photos, and I try to present about 20 to 25% of photos, and that's pretty much with any of my sessions. You know, some of my senior sessions that go on for 3 hours, I might take 600 photos. I try to keep it around 100 for that, give or take, you know, 25. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, to view the images side by side, I do, you select several of the images by holding Control on a PC, Command on a Mac. All right, so once you've got those three, and then you hit N, and then they'll come up. So here, let me do that again. So I select the three, or I'm going to do 4. I select 4 by holding Control or Command, and then I hit N, and then they come up, and you can do that. And then I'm still doing the, you know, the U to get rid of them. They're already picked, so we're not going to do that. Okay. So we definitely, and I find it easier to get rid of the definite, nope, don't want that one. I mean, he has a deer in the headlight look in this one is why I'm getting rid of it. So it's gone. All right. Okay. I think he's kind of leaning forward in this, but it could be because I'm tilted. So I'm just going to leave it for now. I am going to look at these two next to each other again because they are kind of, you know, more I look at them, more I might like one, the better. And I do like the one on the left better. So I'm going to go ahead and eliminate that one. You know, I can spend hours on eliminating things. And a lot of people know, okay, we're getting rid of this last one. Feet are halfway off. That's an easy one for me. He looks his ear's a little dull, but I like his expression, and that would be an easy fix to take these ears to put over here. So I'm going to keep that for that reason. Okay. Okay, I think there's one more question. I said, yeah, the letter N, like nitro. So I don't know what is the call sign for N? I don't know. Nitro was a horse that I knew, so that's why it came into my mind really fast. All right. Headshots I consider for black background the money shot. So I am going to try to get the best one I can. Automatically, I am loving this first one. This is my horse though, so I know exactly what I'm going to like. If it was a client, I'm going to keep a few extra options. I don't mind this last one. I know the eye, I'm going to blow it up big. The eye is kind of giving me the side eye. I do fix those sometimes if it's not too bad, by cloning some of the other part of the eye in there, or taking a paintbrush and lowering the opacity and painting over it too. And then maybe adding a little bit of white, like to get the catch light in there, in that area. So, you know, and this is really not too bad of a side eye. So I'm going to keep all three of those for right now. You'd be surprised what some owners will like and some owners don't like. And I'm always wrong, so what they're going to like. So I like to keep that. All right. So on this, okay, the first one is a little bit different. So it's that one I was talking about. So I'm going to select these two. I am going to take the one on the right. It just has a little bit softer look to me. His head's a little bit higher, not much, just a little bit. It may not be higher, it might be just sticking out a little bit more. Okay. I like this one, the one that I just put it up, but I'm still going to put the other one. Okay. He does not do the carrot bend very well. He just doesn't move that well. He's a retired, well, he could still probably go back and show, but he hasn't been ridden in months, so, and other than just a couple quick rides here and there. So he just doesn't do the carrot bend real well. Plus, I kind of like his ears flopping around a little bit. We would zoom in on this. I always try to do, you know, we do those different pictures. Oh, actually, no, we didn't do the carrot bend here. He was biting at a fly and I grabbed it. Okay, I remember that, bringing things back. I'm over 50. I'm allowed to forget things. So so I will compare both of these, and I probably would leave both of those in just because they're fun pictures. And even sometimes I will leave a blooper in. If, you know, if the horse does a yawn, does its tongue out, leave a blooper in, because it's so much fun, especially when you're showing these in person, to get a laugh out of them. It kind of breaks, you know, it's stressful picking out pictures, you know, and it's you know, people come in going, they don't know what to do, how, you know, I don't know what to decide, and I don't know what to decide. Okay, I'm pausing for a second. Hi, Jan.
Hi, I lost you. Did anybody else?
Let me ask. Can everybody hear me? I think it's just you, Jan.
Okay, I'll see what I can do. Okay, thanks.
All righty. All right. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Thank y'all. Okay. I guess I shouldn't have put her on speakerphone. I just thought maybe I did lose sound. So, and I said her name and everything. Sorry, Jan. So, all right. Okay. All right. So I'm just gonna keep those in just for something fun. All right. Oh no, not gonna keep that one. Not gonna even compare it. I don't know what it is. See, I'm not gonna keep any of these. I don't like any of these. But I wanted to show them to you because I don't like them. One, it's just a bad angle. You know, if I did like it, I could take the legs from the middle one and use for where, you know, mask it in for where the unicorn stick horse is. The second one, his ears are flopped over. I don't like it at all. The third one, cut his whole back off, you know, so that kind of defeats the purpose. So we're not going to use any of those. Okay. All right. So this is actually a pretty popular pose for the stock horse breeds. I don't quite have it right. He should be angled more if I want to get the ideal pose. I don't like him with this pose, but I just kind of wanted to show it to y'all. I really need to be stepped a little bit more camera right to get the correct angle. His ears aren't up. He just wasn't feeling it, but they like the head down and low and turned and have a much better expression. I will try to post one on the Facebook page, or email, or for the files that for the two that are need to be emailed. I will post those. So okay, so we're not keeping that. Okay. Still not liking the angle, and I'm squatted down too much. So that probably would have been okay if I was stood up, and I would crop, probably make it a portrait and crop out the rest. So we won't use that one. All right, I'm still squatted down too much. I do like his head, and it might work. So I'm going to go ahead and hang on to it. Oops, I don't know how I skipped over to 2. Okay, yeah, and no, I don't like him. His head just looks wonky to me. Can't really explain why I don't like it. Maybe if I cropped it, let's try that. I'm going to crop it real quick. And sometimes I will do that when I'm selecting. I go in and go, well, if I cropped it, would I like it better? Because sometimes cropping can change the whole thing. I'm not going to crop it all out just to save time. I like it better that way. So I'm going to go ahead and hang on to it. I may go back and do the same one that way. And I don't know if y'all know this. If you go from one, you can just go hit previous and it will do the same setting you did. So I'm going to keep both of those in for now. Okay. All right. So yeah, he doesn't bend very well. We went ahead and tried to do some little fun artistic ones. Okay. I really don't, unless they have a beautiful mane, a long mane, or a braided or a banded mane, I really don't like this. He has a horrible mane. He's an Appaloosa. Not only is it thin, but it's got this funky wave in it. He's kind of like the kids with the curly hair that don't know what to do with it, and it just doesn't work with a horse. But we were having fun with them. And as you can see how my assistant, she's got blonde hair, so she has a black hat on, is wearing black. And this is why I specify why I want them to wear black. And I wish we used the black lead rope too. We just kind of put the brown one on him and just use the same lead rope. We should have used the black one for this, which, sometimes it goes across his body and then that works. I don't know if I would use any of these or I would absolutely show my client probably one of the middle ones of these. But yeah, because the black is up against him, it's going to be really easy to remove. If she had gray, white, pink, anything on, that's going to leave some pixel residue. So I like them to wear black. Got the ear off of this one. The mouth, no. I can Photoshop that, but it's in a really hard spot to Photoshop. I'm sure y'all know the Liquify. I use the Liquify, or you can use Puppet Warp, whatever you're more proficient with. I'm just not going to bother with it because if they might pick it. So I'm just going to pull all these up. And that's what a lot of my thinking is too, is which one, when they're similar, is going to have the less Photoshop work. So I'm just kind of going through these. I really have no rhyme or reason because they're really very similar to them. This one, I'd like to have the knee more up. I don't like it bending over like that. So, all right. And these are really, really fun to do. And I highly recommend doing some of these and even doing some close-ups and some details when you're doing a black background, because it's really easy. Then you can upsell, you know, some groupings. And that really is very, very helpful. Question is what about the height do you prefer the camera to be? About chest height or just a bit higher? It really depends on the pose that I'm doing. When I am doing full body, I squat down. I like to be squatted down when I'm doing full body. I am probably squatted down on these, maybe not. I might be a little bit lower. For headset, for the headshot, I try to stay level with the head. Sometimes I'm 5'3", so that makes a big difference too, of where it is. But I do lower myself a little bit for the smaller horses. But a lot of times when I'm doing a headshot, I'm standing upright. I usually stand anyways with one foot in front of the other, and a little bit spread out, so it does lower me a few inches. I really never paid attention to where I am shooting at. It's just kind of what looks good to me. But I do know that I am standing for a headshot, no matter what the horse height is. I never ever stand on a step stool. If I was taller than 5'3", I would find or 5'5", I would find a way to lower yourself somehow, even on the big tall horses. That's just how my feelings are. You know, a lot of it is your style too, and where you're shooting from. You know, but like I said, I don't ever recommend standing on a stool and shooting down on a horse. They're just not flattering to me. All right. I'm going to keep this one because this one might be kind of cool, cropped in, especially if it was braided. May not do anything with it as is. No, not going to keep that one, you know, just personal preference. All right, now we have some straight on. Like I said, these would be really, really cool, you know, if I crop just the mane. I would, usually when I do this, what I actually do is we throw feed on the ground and let the horse stretch its neck out as long as it can. And I do a shot pretty much like the eyes up. You don't see the eyes, but I put the eyes in the picture just so I have room to crop to above the withers a little bit, especially those long neck horses. And if they're braided, it sells. It's one of the best sellers. It is a tough one to get because you do want things straight on. All right. So, okay. I forgot to mention, if y'all ask questions, if you would do me a favor and ask on the Q&A and not the chat. I'm going to go through there's a whole bunch in the chat. I forgot to mention that again. I did it earlier. Let's see. How many variations of the same pose do you show a client? I have no number, no set number. If the horse has several different expressions, that I'm going to show those different expressions to it. Because horses, I mean, just like humans, we have different expressions, and their owners are going to like a certain thing. I will show the straight out. I will show the head turned. And you're right, people do pick different things. Let's see. Oh, yeah, that's if the exit from the barn has a slope and slopes down, I will use a stool. I have used a stool. I don't like using a stool because I'm constantly moving back. You know, the horse moves. I don't want to have to, you know, I move with the horse as long as it's retaining the background, because this is my theory. if the horse moves a little bit, I'm going to reposition myself rather than asking the handler to reposition the horse, unless I just can't get the shot. The reason being is the more we're messing with these horses, the more upset they're going to get. They're going to lose their good expression. They're going to start getting, resting mare face, even though they might not be a mare. So the faster we can get this done, and I know it's a lot quicker and easier for me to move versus them moving the horse. But like being said, this is a black background. We are using it, if we're using a black drop, or I'm trying to get the darkest part of the barn, we're gonna do that. We're gonna move away from, I'm gonna keep moving with the horse and everything, just to keep that. All right. All right. Okay. So these are fun little shots, and I think I'm not really going to go through these because a lot of these are going to be personal preference of what you like, and we do need to move on a little bit, so I could spend a whole lot more time on these. I do want to get into some editing soon. Okay, we still are doing, we did do some of the carrot bend ones, and these are really, really popular, especially with the hunter jumper people or dressage people who do their horse, they use the carrot bend and their horses do it. He was a hunter under saddle, stock horse breed, and did over fences with the stock horse breed, and he drove and did trail and showmanship and equitation and all that stuff, but never dressage or the hunter jumper type stuff. So I went ahead and played with him to see if he would do it. He did a little bit, because he is very food motivated. He did not want to stand still though, so it took a couple tries to get him to do that. And that's kind of personal preference of which one you want to do, which one you feel it has a little bit more artsy feel. And like I said, I'd like you to develop your style and what poses you want to do. I'm just kind of giving you a few ideas. All right. Okay, the next style we talk about is where I do have the black backdrop up. And yes, this is really, I forgot to change my exposure. I changed my exposure wrong. I didn't bump it up enough. So I'm showing them to you. I do have the backdrop up. We do have him outside of the barn now. It was a cloudy day, so I'm just going to get rid of all these right here that were overexposed. So we get a little bit more of the correct exposure. It was a cloudy day. I should have, hold on, let me get rid of these. And we did have them outside the barn, and my barn with the right angle would probably work. If it was a sunny day, it definitely would work where I get him outside of the barn and have the sun shining on him. I would not have to do any black background at all, even if I did have it, didn't have the backdrop up. Having it outside of the barn works really, really well sometimes, especially on a cloudy day. All right. So with these, I'm just putting them all up there, and I'm going to get rid of the ones I don't like. He looks very dull in these two, so I'm going to get rid of those. I do like, see these first two where we have a little bit of the turn of the head. His head's a little bit too high for my liking for what he does on this one, but I still would show my client. This one, he looks a little thick through here, but his throat light looks really good. I'm going to go ahead and show my client that one. I'm going to compare these two these three real quick. They are completely profile. Some people do like them. I'm going to get rid of the first one. No, actually, I like that more. I look at it. I'm going to keep those. I would let the client choose. He was a little bit, once he was out of the barn, he was a little bit more attentive. He had something to look at. So I'm going to have a lot more of these to show the client. Okay. We'll get rid of that first one. Actually, I'm going to get rid of the middle one because it's just like this one here, but we have a little bit more. Yeah, you can see here. we might have to go into curves or levels to get this really, really dark. But this is actual the barn right here and not the backdrop. So we are pretty black. Right here, we kind of get it a little bit, and here we kind of see a little bit, but you kind of get the idea. And if we bump up the exposure a little bit, you know, it's going to work. I'm not going to narrow these down anymore because I like all these. And I probably would later on just kind of study them a little bit just to narrow down some very, very light ones. But I really don't have a set number. All right, these right here are a little bit different. I used a rim light on them. You can see the light on the very first picture. You can see the light. I actually put it inside his stall. It's in his feeder, pointing at him. It does have a magmog on it, and it does have a grid on it. I probably should have set the magmog off and only use the grid. But we do get a little, and I probably could have put the power up. Once I look at these, I don't like these. I don't think I got as much rim light as I really want to. You kind of can see the rim light here, and I'll blow this one up, a little bit on his hindquarters where it's bending in, and his ears do stand out a little bit more. And we can have some shadowing down here on the hindquarters. All right. Obviously, we don't want this one. Okay. All right, we're going to go to another horse. I just kind of want to show you these rim light ones though, real quick, and we'll just compare them all real quick. You might just pick one. We're not going to use a lot of these because he's got that deer in the headlight look quite a bit. So I probably won't use a whole lot of them once I'm done going through them. All right, I want to get to a different horse just so you can see. All right, this is Lily. She's actually was born here. I owned her mom and her grandma. She injured herself last summer. It was an old injury that she got stuck in a doorway as a weanling. Totally degloved her, and every once in a while she has issues with that leg, and this is the worst it's ever been. We actually had a skin graft done on it that didn't take. She's a very expensive pasture ornament, but she has had to be kept up in the stall most of the time because we can't. It's been so wet here, and we have black dirt. I just can't. The black dirt carries all sorts of germs. But anyways, I'll get on to something else. But anyways, she does not get handled very often, and my dogs. I'm going to mute y'all for a second. Okay, I think they're done barking. Okay. All right. Okay, I think they're all done barking. Who knows what they were barking at? A leaf must have fallen or something. All right. I'm going to check for questions. Okay. The lead rope that I'm using is I buy these rope halters. Well, this one's a little bit different. I buy rope halters from Emma something or another. The link is on the resource page on the Facebook page. And I use those as much as I can. Sometimes they're a little bit too thin for somebody to handle. But we do that. I use that. I try to get something thin as possible. A lot of times, you know, I go to places and they have this thick cotton lead rope. I do not like that. What we're using here is a leather shank that has a chain on it. And I know a lot of people will come and they'll double up that chain. All right, they'll slip it through that thing and then link it on. It makes that chain shorter. One, it's harder to Photoshop out. Two, and then two, it's really dangerous, especially if we're doing those, you know, bend down poses and those fun poses. If that horse steps forward and gets its foot stuck in that lead shank where it's kind of looped around, we don't want that foot, you know, that's a you know, 1 in a million chance, but we don't want that 1 in a million chance to happen. Okay, the thing with Lily is she's a paint horse, but she has those Appaloosa wild eyes. So pretty much every single photo, she has a wild eye. Because she is pretty much a pasture horse, she does not get acclimated to a lot of the stuff that, you know, a horse that gets ridden and everything else like that. She's basically a broodmare that doesn't have babies. Because she was the last horse that I bred, and I just don't want to. So as you can see, she has this huge wild eye. I know there's a soft eye in there somewhere. So I will not use any of these unless I just absolutely love them, because I have to love them. Now, if she did not have this wild eye, I would probably not use these first three. So we'll get rid of these first three right away. Okay. Her neck's wonky in this one. See how we don't have, it's not coming straight out and it kind of bends right here at the pole. Kind of like a zigzag, as I call it. And wonky is my favorite term, according to my daughter. She's a little bit straighter in this one, but she's still wonky. All right. Don't like the neck in that, the right one. I'm really not liking the neck in any of these, so we're not going to use any of these. We are just warming up, okay? So I'm going to select 4 more here. Okay, has that wild eye. All right, so we're just going to ignore it. I kind of like this a little bit. It's really hard for me not to look at that wild eye though. But I don't like it a whole lot, so I'm going to get rid of it. Her eye's a little bit softer, but I don't like the way her head's tilted in this center one. All right. This one right here, if I was to crop it at the chest, I'd be okay with it. Maybe. She's flaring her nostrils a little bit too much. She's really got those ears forward though. She's leaning forward. And, you know, I could maybe crop it here and then tilt it a little bit. I could. She is halter bred. So what that means to me, halter bred horses in the stock horse breeds, they want their head high. Her mom also did Western Pleasure too, so, or not her mom, her grandma did Western Pleasure too. So we can go with the low head too, but she is very muscled up, so we probably would, you know, want to go with what the halter ideal is. They also do not, you know, a lot of the stock horse people do not like that archy neck. Like I love it, but it's not something that they want to see, you know, in the stock horse breeds as much. They want a little bit of arch, but they want some softness to it too. So knowing that, you know, knowing that that's what they don't want, you know, you kind of have to keep that in mind. So we probably won't keep any of these. I'm going to just to keep one. I'm going to keep this one. No, I just don't like any of them. So we're not going to keep any of them. And that happens sometimes. You might go through and, you know, just be very, very upset with what you got. And sometimes you're going to have to go back and find some. You know, she's leaning forward in all these. I cut off her withers in that one, so that one automatically we're going to get rid of. I'm actually going to keep both of these just because I need to keep something for now. She is leaning forward, but her nostrils not quite as flary. All right. She's starting to soften up a little bit. Still has that wild eye. I don't like either of these. Her neck looks really, really short at this angle, the way her head's turned. So I'm not going to do it. And it also looks, and the same with this, her neck looks really, really short. plus it looks like it's attached really low. And if y'all don't know, conformation of a horse really well, I highly recommend, learning, really, the correct balance and everything of a horse, because it really does help in photography. All right, I cut her back off, so we won't use that one. Okay, I'm getting a little bit more softer look here. Yeah, she's a halter horse. I still don't like the way her neck is kind of wonky. And a lot of that, I know what happened there is if we backed her up, she could stretch her neck out a little bit more straight. So I think we did that later on. So I'm going to keep on going. So you kind of have to remember, okay, I'm going to keep that one. No, I don't have the background all the way blackened out. That's not a whole lot to do. She does have super long whiskers. So that is something you need to ask your client too, because some people love their horse's whiskers. And if they want long whiskers on their horse, you make sure you get it on that backdrop, because that's going to, or you're going to have to hand paint them in. And we'll go over that on Photoshop Day too. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and keep that, even though she has that wild eye. No, don't like that at all. Her head still looks a little wonky to me. Still looks a little short and wonky. And she is a super sweet horse too, by the way. She just has that wild eye. It was the unicorn that she's never seen before. It's actually in front of her stall now, just because I leave it there. All right. I'm going to use that one. No, I'm not. I don't like her neck. Okay. It's getting a little bit better. Her neck looks a little bit better than that one. It's a little bit straighter, so it's not like leaning in at the pole. Or not the pole, the throat latch. Okay. I know I used one of these because I posted it on Instagram, and I don't remember which one it is. Let me see if I can't find it, because I edited it and oh, it's actually probably this one, I bet. I think, yeah, it's this one right here. You can see I did some editing in Lightroom on this one. See how she kind of softened her eye? Her neck looks a little bit better in this one. This is the only one out of the whole thing that I liked. That one, and I think it was just because of her eye. But see how her eye is a little bit softer. All right, so we are going to go in and do a little bit of editing. I do want to show you really quickly just a couple of other ones of these. So this was a dark barn. It had a window in the very back, and they put a tarp up for me. It didn't get everything out. It still wasn't dark enough to get the full black background out. This is not my daughter, this is my client, and I did tell her to put on a black shirt, and she did. It was way too hot to wear sleeves though, so I was okay with that. See, we're still, I'm gonna have to manually do these. I was hoping to have a dark enough, background, and it was just a little bit too much light. The sun is the opposite. I am getting a little bit of haze in there. Even though this is a tall barn. I put a model call out to do this, and I asked for a dark barn that didn't have a white inside, and she did the call and she did it, but they had what do you call it, cupolas at the top that were letting light in, and they had windows on the sides too that let light in. So it wasn't a super dark one. We could have stepped out and did it on the ground, but they just tilled it. So we couldn't do that because they were about to, it's a very new barn. They're about to lay gravel down, or I can't remember what they're about to do. So I just kind of want to show you the barn and different things. The horse is way stretched out in all these. Um, and then we did some headshots. The headshots turned out a little bit better. They're going to be a little bit easier to edit. Like I said, I did go through some of these real quick because I wanted to find one to send to the client. But I wanted to show you the pose. This is I did cut off the withers. That one I was kind of telling you where the stock horse breed. This is a solid paint. Love the dapples on it. And we might edit one of these in Photoshop. I might want to pull up so I can show you how to enhance those edits, those dapples even more. But yeah, this was that's kind of where we want it a little bit, maybe a little bit lower too. But it's kind of dark. It's dark. What it is, it's dark where I want it to be dark, which is the main, which is probably the hardest area to blacken out later on. And that's what I'm going to usually, if I have a dark spot in the barn, I'm going to try to do the hair on that dark spot. We've got a few cute straight on ones. And the straight on ones are usually, you know, when I said I did, I will send I will show the client a before and after so they get an idea what they're going to look at. I usually do the straight on ones because they're really quick and easy. I can actually edit them and blacken them out in Photoshop. I don't always remove the lead rope and everything, but okay. After that, I went straight to another barn where I knew I was going to get a complete black background. This is straight out of the camera. I haven't done anything. I'm going to have to bring up the whites. There's kind of the full picture. And we won't use that one, obviously. But I did a couple of the horse out of the barn because I kind of wanted to show, you know, how black it is and everything. It was so windy. Flies were awful. It was just her and I. But I wanted to get something quick and easy. I would have to do something about this line, and obviously I will have to straighten it up. But yeah, probably not very many of these I'm going to like. Okay, so here I did put the horse in the alleyway inside the barn here. You can see the handle of the refrigerator there. And it probably will, when I edit, I probably won't have to blacken really anything out. In Photoshop, I'm going to show you a pretty easy way, but if you can see, most of these pretty much are as is, blackened out. All right, maybe these are the ones. That was in the front of the door. Let's see that. These might be the ones in the actual doorway. Yeah, because the wind's blowing the main. So these are actual in the doorway. These right here are outside of the doorway where under the overhang. So we have, you know, a pretty much natural black background where we don't have to blacken out anything. And I love barns that have an overhang. I did move it in underneath the barn doorway. There we go. I have that one of those halters on too. It's going to have to be photoshopped out. And why I moved it in out of the door, out of that good light that I really wanted to get the natural background without having to Photoshop later on, is because it was so windy and the horse's mane was blowing everywhere. And I wanted to give, this was another model that, you know, said, oh, I have a dark barn. And we were able to, I wanted to give her something, be able to, you know, have a good image to give her, you know, where the horse's mane wasn't blowing everywhere. This barn was a wooden barn, and it did have some white in it, but it's a pretty large barn. I think it was about 12 stalls on each side, so it's a very long barn, and those barns are really dark. It's the shorter barns that don't have as much of the natural blackness that you want to get. We did also have a couple windows in there, but it wasn't, you know, I took these about 4:30 So the sun was still pretty high because the sun doesn't set, you know, till 8 o'clock. So we still had 4 hours of light. And it was kind of behind the barn a little bit. I did have a little bit of sun flare issues a couple times with the direction of the barn. Okay, so, oh, lots of questions. Let me go answer real quick. I do, you know, like I do keep my own lead ropes, lead shanks with me too. All right. Could you explain a bit? Okay, so like straight line, could I re-explain a bit of what I'm looking for in a straight line of the neck from wither to pole? So think of, you know, looking at a horse from up above, all right, and you're looking down and you want that line to be straight from the back, the horse's back up through the neck, all the way to the pole. Sometimes horses will have this little wonkiness and they're going to turn their neck a little bit weird instead of looking straight out. So just think of a bicep, you know, okay, we don't want our, you know, when we want our horses nice, soft, and supple. We want them to flex at the pole. We don't want them to flex at the withers. Does that make a little bit more sense? You know, so we want them to flex a little bit through there. You know, when they're bending the head around, we want the bend to go from the withers to the pole where they make like a nice curved C, or, you know, not quite a C, and make that, you know, bending around. But when we're doing the straight on ones, or, you know, from the profile and we want the straight out ones, I like to have the whole back line, the whole vertebrae, all the way from the neck to the tail head straight. It's kind of hard to do, but I don't want all of a sudden at the withers it to kind of move a little bit. I hope that makes sense. Okay, I'll show that in a second. Or the straight, I'm going to show the straightening of the edge. Okay, Carol, what did I get to use to get the horse's attentions off to the left? Let's see what time it is. Okay, so I'm assuming you're talking about this one. Actually, I didn't use anything. There was a little kid riding a bike, so I was cheating there, because it was just me and the handler there. There wasn't anybody else there. She did use a stick horse a couple times, and she used my remote control quite a bit on there. There were several times it was using that, but I remember this one because I'm going, oh, that is perfect. The head's a little high because this is a Western pleasure horse, but we did, you know, it did watch it, and the kid kept on riding by every once in a while. I kind of got bored with it. Oh, and these right here too, muzzle shots are so popular, especially if it's at this angle. I wish I went down and did the muzzle at this one instead. They're very, very popular, especially when I had, oh, that's really cute. Especially if the tongue is out, it's even better. When I was doing the wreath photos, I would do a muzzle shot and I would get the wreath a little bit behind. It sold pretty much every time I did that. Somebody bought that as an extra one. So that's a good upsell for you. Okay. All right. All right. We're going to go ahead and do some editing now because we only have a half hour left. I've gone way too long. Okay. Let me check a couple things. I want to make sure this is still recording because yesterday I had an issue. And raise your hand if you still can hear me. Okay. Awesome. Thank you. Okay. All right. So straightening, if I don't have, let me find one that I have room to straighten. Okay. So the straighten tool is in the develop mode. And in the crop tool, there is this little angle thing here. And you just kind of draw this line across and say, hey, this is level. And we just kind of do there. All right, I didn't do that right. Haven't used that in a while, by the way. Okay, so I usually just use it like that. There is a method to do it elsewhere, so that's still not very straight. And like I said, I don't like to do it as much in Lightroom as I do in Photoshop. Does anybody know Control Z? Best shortcut in the world. It's to undo. And with Lightroom, you can undo several times. All right. I accidentally must have done on the upload of this. I must have done my bright and airy setting because I realized everything has a couple changes to it. So I'm just going to reset it. So that's straight out of the camera. Okay. So some of the things I do in Lightroom is I will straighten if there is room. I'm going to cut off the ears, so I'm not going to straighten in Lightroom. And I may not even select this one. I'm going to go, I already pre-selected some of these, so we're going to do the flags off. Okay. I'm just checking questions again real quick. All right, so I kind of have a set thing what I like to do. The exposure is fine for me. I'm not going to change the exposure because I'm looking at the horse. I'm not looking at the background. This one, I'm not going to do a whole lot of editing in Lightroom other than to get my color and everything correct. So I'm reading some comments and everything. Okay. I think somebody answered that one for her. So, yeah, I have my little fake halters or paracords, and I like those. And it has a snap on it. The ones that I bought, the little rope halters that I use that I can Photoshop out easily later on, have a little paracord lead rope too. All right. So this one, I'm not really going to do a whole lot until I get into Photoshop. I'm going to leave the exposure how it is. I like how it is. It's a little hazy. I pretty much, and this is just my preference. It doesn't, doesn't mean you have to do it. I usually like to bump up my contrast somewhere between 10 and 20. Just depends. I think especially when it has dapples. We're going to bump up those. So I do set my white balance before starting a photo because I had a preset. It presetted all of them to 5150. I use the K on my camera and set it where I need it to. I'm not always right, so I still rely a lot on Lightroom to get my color right. I shoot a little warmer. That's some people shoot a little cooler. So it's a little bit. And I do like, for my first one, I don't know why that says 100% there. I will sometimes, find something white and use the eyedropper tool just to see if I'm anywhere close. And this one goes really, really warm. I don't like that. So I'm not going to do that. And when you use the eyedropper tool, if you kind of find, if you look at the bottom numbers, like it says pick a target on a neutral, and you see the 46, 45, 45. You want to get those numbers as close as possible. to pick it. And then you might get a little bit better. I still don't like that. So, you know, I'm going to go back to how it was. Now it looks a little green to me. So I'm going, I actually can go as shot too. Maybe I did. Now, see, now that I did that, now it looks a little blue to me. So I will bump it up because, you know, we are shooting in the shade right there. But I don't like the over yellow look sometimes. And, you know, I hope everybody calibrates their screens to make them, you know, look right. Mine actually needs it, so I might be a little off. I got the little warning last night to calibrate mine. If you don't calibrate yours, there's several different ones. There's Color Right, there's Spider, Monkey, or something like that. I can't remember. Let's see, the one I use is, let me see if I can find it. It may not be on my little thing right here. Oh, I use Spider Utility to calibrate mine. All right. So, you know, I kind of bump up the contrast. This horse, I will not bump up the highlights. You know, because if I do, I'm going to kind of lose the shine to it. And I'm not going to bump down the highlights. I'm going to leave them as is. I'm not going to change the shadows. You know, if it is a little shadowy, I might change it a little bit. I do like to bring up the whites, or bring them down, I should say, or bring them up, just because I think it gets a little bit of the haze out and brightens up the picture. And then I also bring, and that's taking the white slider to the right. I bring the black slider to the left, but not very much. That just kind of does it a little bit. For black backgrounds with no people in it, I will bring the clarity up to about maybe 10, never over 10. That's just my style though. Some people, you know, will bump that clarity way up. I will dehaze if it's a little hazy. This one is a little hazy, but not very much. And the dehaze, if you ask me, is kind of the same as the black slider too. For vibrance, I will bring it up a little bit, maybe 5. Whoops, I'm going way up too much. Maybe, you know, 5 to 10, somewhere around there. I don't touch the saturation. In fact, I might on a black horse desaturate. And then I really don't do, unless, you know, the other stuff for black backgrounds I don't touch. So I'm going to pick that. I probably wouldn't pick this one. So image. And then what I like to do, because every single one of them is going to be the same thing, and I kind of started in the middle. I probably should have started at the end. I'm going to hit the shift key. So I select them all, and then I hit sync. And a little thing will come up and which ones I want to do. If I cropped one, I want to make sure I don't have it cropped. If I use a local adjustment brush, I won't do the local adjustment brush because it may brush over someplace that I did not want it to brush over. And I just hit synchronize, and it changes all of them for me. And I may do this with, you know, with a black background because the light's pretty much the same. For a good series of them, I probably could go over here and go ahead and do these other ones too. You know, of course, we're going to go back and select all these too a lot of times. So it doesn't work a whole lot to do this with a lot of backgrounds because you only check a few at a time. All right. So that's pretty much what I do only with the full body ones. At headshot, you actually, if you're really careful and take the time, you can actually pretty much almost get the, you know, image in. You can almost do a black background with a headshot with the mane on the other side. We don't have any hair anywhere. We can get that done. And I think somebody's here, so my dogs might start barking in a second. And I will mute y'all again. But what, I don't know if anybody has ever used adjustment brushes. So the adjustment brush is a great thing. Hold on. I'm going to yell at my dog. All right, I think she's just the horse whinnied outside. I am going to get rid of, okay, y'all see my setting here. I was at 400, 3.5, and ISO 1000, and I was shooting at 200 millimeters. All right. I'm going to get rid of that really quick because it's going to be in my way. Okay. I'm hitting the I button if you don't know how to do that. I'm hitting the I button, but it's not doing anything. There we go. All right, so I hit the I button on that. All right, I love these adjustment brushes. So we can actually get a black background done by using an adjustment brush. So when it's on adjustment brush, a new kind of panel pops up. And if you ever hit this custom button right here, you can pick a whole bunch of different things. Even if you want to do, you can dodge and burn, you can, we can do that, or do exposure. We can enhance the eye here. We can soften some skin if you're doing some retouch up. We can whiten teeth, which works really, really well with horses' legs that are a little bit yellow, horses' tails are a little bit yellow. We can just use it for any different thing. We're going to pick the exposure brush, all right? And I'm going to push this exposure all the way over for the brush. All right, so for my brush, I do like a soft brush to get, hold on, let me hit the shift because maybe not that soft. I can use my brush, I can increase my brush size by using the bracket button, by, clicking the inner or outer bracket to make it bigger or smaller. For the softness of the brush, if you hold the control, I'm sorry, that will totally mess everything up. Let me get this back. The shift key, and either you could get it to feather or not. If you don't remember how to do this, there is down here at the bottom where you can change on your panels. You can change the brush size to big or small or however you need to be, into the feather, and the flow and the density and all type of stuff too. So we're going to keep it right here. I'm going to make it kind of big just to get going. And I'm just going to paint the exposure into here. All right. And I'm going to do, let's get that opacity up a little bit more. I didn't realize the opacity must be down. Hold on, I must have clicked on. Yeah, density. All right, it may not do it on the lead rope as well. So get the flow all the way up to. Yeah, it may not do the lead rope. All right, so I'm just doing this really rough and really fast, just to kind of show you, and if I want to do it a little bit slower. All right. Now, if I go over something that I like here on the jaw here, I kind of went over it a little bit where I shouldn't have. If you hit, hold on, I always forget this one, Alt key, it will, and you have to hold it down. And I know there's a way to keep it going the other way. I just don't remember it right now. But I just hold the Alt key down. And this kind of erases some of the areas that I don't do. So if you want to, I can click show masked areas. So you can kind of see where I brushed over. And then that's a good way of kind of cleaning it up too later on. So if I want to go back and, come into here. Now this is what, if it's a simple one, you can do it here with no problem. I still want to go into Photoshop and do things too. But this is kind of how I show my client a little bit of how it's done. All right. So what it's going to kind of look like in the final project final product. And I let him know. I said, this is a quick one. This is just gives you an idea what the background, when it's gone, it's going to look like. And I usually try to pick a really simple one to do this with. But majority of my stuff is done in Photoshop. That's just my personal preference. Some people are super good in Lightroom and can do it in Lightroom. Okay, so I'm done with the brush. So I hit done. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this lead rope. I'm not very proficient in this, but we can get rid of the lead rope using either the heel or the clone, your choice. I'm going to use the heel this time, just see how it works. And I'm just going to brush over it. All right, so it does usually a pretty good job, and I'm fine with it. So I may get up a little bit closer, you know, and get in there and do a little bit more. I don't like doing, and you can see here where it's sampled from. So if I wanted to say, okay, I want you to sample more from over here, I just move it and it's going to sample from a little bit more over there. I would get in there probably a little bit closer and do a little bit more. But like I said, I only really use this, you know, I use other things for Photoshop. All right. So once I'm going to try to finish up and then answer any last minute questions everybody has too. Once I'm done with this, and I'm done with all my selection, any editing that I'm going to do in Lightroom, I am going to go back into the library mode, and I am going to only one selected right now. So I would have to select all, which I'm not going to export all these, obviously. I'm not anywhere near done going through these. I am going to export these, and I already have presets, so I don't have to really preset anything. So I edit for edit. I just click edit and it automatically does it. It's going to put it in the same file as the original folder. It's going to put it in a sub file. Oh, I'm muting y'all again. Okay, so I am going to, sorry, my daughter came home. I'm going to put it into edit. I rename it. If it's just something I'm going to be working on, I have my own little ETPC. It's just kind of my own little code. You don't have to do that. Usually I will also name it, like, you know, if it's the same name as the folder that it's in a lot of times, just so I don't have repeat, because you know our cameras go to 9999. You know, I don't want to have 20 different 9999 numbers, so I am going to give it a different little name. I always keep my file size at 100. I sharpen. I don't really sharpen for anything when I'm exporting. I don't put a watermark on all these, and these are full res and all that stuff. And then I hit export, and then I'm done. Okay, sorry. All right. All right. So that's kind of what I do there. All right. And then I'm going to go to the questions. I'm going to kind of rush through that and we'll kind of answer a little bit more. So let's see. Yes, I was pulling when I was doing the adjustment brush, I was pulling the exposure all the way down on the brush, or all the way up, I should say, or down. You're right, down. I always get that mixed up. So, you know, it was like +4 exposure. So I was getting it as dark as it can get, and it just didn't quite get enough on the lead rope. So, okay, let me check the chat because I know some people were asking in chat. How do you handle the edge of the horse when painting with an adjustment brush? I don't really. Like I said, I'm only using the adjustment brush just to do or Lightroom to do a quick edit to show my client. I prefer to do it in Photoshop. So, Okay, let's see, anything else? Okay. Oh, no, I don't limit to 100K at this size. That's a default. Let me do that. Let me show you that again. The question is, why do I put it to 100K? No, I don't think anything I have is 100K. I keep it at 100% quality. So let's show you that again real quick. That would be kind of confusing. All right, so see the limit file size to 100K is not checked, but my quality is at 100. So if I was like wanting to do like, you know, a quick web size image or something, you know, I might limit my size, you know, to 1000K or something. So yeah. I don't want to export that for sure. Sorry to confuse you there. Okay. All right. Okay, anything else? Let me check the chat again. Okay, if that's it. This one I think stayed recording the whole time, so I should have this up later on tonight. I hope it will be. It might be midnight because I do have a photo shoot that I need to leave for in an hour. Oh, more questions. Oh no, there's not a question. There's okay. Yes, you will have access to those videos. They're all on YouTube. This will probably, I'll put this one up on this recording on YouTube as well. So yeah, you'll be able to, you know, keep all the videos for, you know, in case something, unless something happens to them, they're going to be over there. They are for you only. Please do not share them with anybody else because this will probably be repeated. Corinne probably will want to repeat this class again in the future too. So I will see y'all tomorrow then. See y'all later.